Hi, my name is Kees, and today's video is about 3 powerful steps to let go of what is blocking you. That can be feelings, thoughts, emotions, patterns, behavior even. So it's a very, very powerful process, and I've used this myself over 1,000 times, at least. And I continue to use this, and my life has changed immensely because of this. If you do just this, you'll see enormous benefits in your life, in your health, in your happiness, in your success, because this process is so powerful. It removes so much of the energetic blocks, the subconscious blocks you might have. And it's a different process from some of the processes you might have seen in the past, because it's not so well known. So it's something where all psychologists who use certain techniques and all coaches, they all have a similar thing where they work on the subconscious, for example. Some do, some don't, but the most powerful, effective ways are when you work on the subconscious. And we can do that in several ways, but this is the most powerful way that I've seen it being used. So buckle your seatbelts and let's go. We have 3 steps, right? And the first step is to become aware of your blockages. And that sounds simpler than that it is. That's actually a very complicated thing in itself. But in order to start healing ourselves, to start fixing ourselves, to start letting go of some of these things that have been blocking us for maybe our whole life, or maybe that have been blocking generations, and that's a kind of genetic inheritance. We come into this body, and the body is created by cells of your mother and your dad. And they come together and they create you. So you hold this DNA of all your ancestors, but you also get some of the emotions and the patterns. So some of the things you might experience or have, some of the beliefs or some of the patterns which are blocking you, are actually not yours. And this is not new. It's something which is very well known in psychology and in spirituality. So becoming aware of your patterns means that you have, in this case, a certain entrance. Something has happened, and either that's a feeling, that's a thought, that's an event happening to you, in which you really notice, hey, I'm blocked. This is something where I feel that I have a triggered reaction. What is a trigger? A trigger is not a normal response. When my girlfriend, for example, does, the kitchen is dirty, right? I used to be very triggered. I used to think, in my sort of subconscious, all these unworthiness issues would come up, and I would get really angry at her. While she is not saying that I'm unworthy, no, she's just saying that the kitchen is dirty, right? That's a fact. In this case, a little bit only, but that's a fact. So I got really triggered based on that. So a trigger is also a perfect entry to become aware of, because that's usually something where a blockage is below that in your subconscious, or sometimes several blockages which you can look at. So when you become aware of this, of hey, I'm being triggered, hey, I feel that I'm experiencing an emotional intensity or an intensity in general which might not be there, or I feel that I'm not really fulfilling my potential, or I feel that I'm sabotaging myself maybe, or I feel that I see that I have destructive behavior, or behavior that I'm trying to change, but I can't, because I feel blocked. Because we can't fix everything with the rational mind. We can't fix everything with our willpower. The subconscious level is the level below that. It's 95% of everything we do, at least, is subconscious, some experts say. So most of our thoughts are on repeat, and they're coming from the subconscious. And our emotions and our thoughts are 95% usually also the same as yesterday. So when we suppress some of our emotions and feelings, they tend to come back because they're in the subconscious. The big movement, which we'll talk about, and the biggest movement you can do as well, is turning towards it. Turning towards your pain, turning towards your emotions, turning towards your thoughts, turning towards some of your patterns, accepting them, being with them, embracing them, experiencing them, instead of running from them with social talk, with watching videos, so if you're watching this video, this one might be productive, but you know which videos I'm talking about, feel irrelevant to you at that moment. When you're running away or drinking or over-exercising. A lot of friends which I talk to sometimes use exercise as a numbing agent, as something to numb themselves. You know, that's not what you want. You don't want to numb yourself. You want to be with yourself. You want to unnumb yourself. You want to actually be more sensitive to your system. You want to understand your system better so you can use it for the better. Because when you understand yourself, and when you can be free of some of the things which are blocking you, your life improves so much, my friend. So, step 1 is become aware of what is blocking you. Second, ask questions and listen for the answer. So that means listening to yourself. Strangely enough, if you ask an inner question, so in your mind, you oftentimes get an intuitive answer, a yes or a no. An intuitive feeling like you're onto something, right? You get a sort of intuitive knowing, or sometimes the body responds. The body responds with a certain yes or no already. It feels turned on or not. Another way to do this, which I've used myself, is muscle testing. And muscle testing is a form of kinesiology, and you can Google this. Muscle testing is something you can quite easily learn. Muscle testing might also be a way. So listening to the body, but listening to the mind as well, listening to the heart, to the feelings, which come up if you ask yourself some questions relating to this block. Sometimes you don't know where the block is. Sometimes you do. So when you've become aware of a block, then you can enter step number 3. But step number 2, asking yourself some questions, can also help to look for a level deeper, to look for what is really the issue here. Because it can happen, for example, that I get angry because my girlfriend is saying that the kitchen is dirty. And I can look inside, is this what I'm angry about? No. I'm angry about that I think it's about me. Right? So I can question myself, how does this make me feel? Why do I think that this is a problem for me? Why do I think this is about me in the first place? Or is this about me? So asking these questions is really helpful. But there are a lot more questions you can ask to find your inner blockages. And I've written down a couple of them. Am I attracting, for example, love, health, wealth, relationship? Right? Am I also blocking it? And how am I blocking it? Why would I not be successful? Why would I not be happy, healthy, etc.? Why do I feel pain around X, Y, and Z? Why was this event so painful? So there are a lot of these questions you can ask yourself to get, and I think 5 times why is also a very good technique to try to get really to the core of your own wounds, to find really what is blocking you. It's a little bit of detective work sometimes, and it takes some sensitivity. So if you find it hard to ask yourself these questions, that's normal in the beginning. And also, if you find that your body or your mind is not really answering, or you can't really listen to that, try meditation. Try just sitting, laying, relaxing, and then try it again, to feel if something is responding, if something is happening. Relaxation and sensitivity towards yourself is key in this. And again, most people have numbed themselves from any reflection, but also from emotions, thoughts, feelings, etc. So if you want to find what is blocking you, you need to resensitize yourself to yourself. By listening to your heart, by meditating, by reflecting upon yourself, by knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want, by seeing where you're going off the track, or seeing where you're being destructive in your life, or seeing where you're causing others or yourself pain. Step 3. So you've become aware, right, of your blockage. You've maybe asked some questions, or you felt a little bit deeper. Then step 3 is to sit with the thoughts, the feelings, the ideas, the pain, the event, the trigger. And instead of thinking about it or judging it, don't try to rationalize it. Just focus your attention on it. And this is a life changer. This is really where the magic happens in this practice. This is the difference between unblocking yourself and allowing all that abundance to come in and staying blocked. Right? This is the difference right here. And the difference is your ability to put your attention on the pain you feel, or the blockage you feel, or it shouldn't be really painful, like but that can happen. I've had that happen sometimes. The most important thing is that you're looking for the uncomfortable feeling. You're looking for it instead of turning away from it, You're solving it. Because all thoughts and feelings want to be felt. They want to be heard. And when they're heard, when they're felt, all wounds are healed by attention. When they're felt, when they're heard, they leave you. Because they don't want to stay. They don't want to be suppressed. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be loved. Right? So, fixing your attention, and I'm calling this sitting with, as in sitting, as in meditating on, as a mantra, as a sort of focus point. I'm not saying sort of meditation like that. You can just sit on the couch, you can lay down and take your time to focus on what is bothering you, where you feel resistance, right? It can be a very small thing, and I encourage you to, when you've watched this video, to look for a small thing. Not start with a big thing, start with a very small thing. Because a big thing often has a couple of layers, where maybe you need to repeat this practice a couple of times. But a small thing, or something which you notice one time or two times, or is a recurring theme in your life, but not let's say your past trauma or something like that, but it's just a recurring theme, like a small thing, something that annoys me always, or if I notice that I'm really neat all the time, that I need to be neat, right? Needing to do something, that suggests a blockage, because you don't need it to do anything. You're free. You're free in this life. At least from your own point of view. Maybe externally people try to impose something on you, and maybe they succeed, but internally you don't have to impose anything on yourself. You can, and of course, willpower and discipline is fine. I made another video about that, but it's more that you don't have to. So when you feel I need to, then usually there's a blockage there. It's interesting because some of our blockages are sometimes woven in with some of our skills. But when we remove our blockage, our skill can flourish even more. right? So you'll not lose your personality, you'll lose some of your resistance and some of your pain by doing this. So sitting and focusing on the thoughts, for example, I need to be clean, for example, or I need to be productive, the saying, focusing on those thoughts, focusing on the feeling, focusing on the pain, that is a practice in which you'll see the emotion or the intensity will go up a little bit, and then at some point they slowly start to come down, and then it feels neutral, and then you're done. You can pick something else which you might feel resistance about, but that's how you unblock yourself, by feeling the feelings, by feeling the emotions, by feeling the thoughts. So unblocking yourself is easier maybe than you thought, but it requires some sensitivity and it requires your attention. You could say your unconditional love to this pattern. Something which I really like is sometimes saying to, if the pattern is really big, saying to it, but also meaning it, what you say, that you don't have to leave. Right? You can just stay here forever. You're safe. I love you. You can say that to your patterns. And what happens is oftentimes that they don't want to stay. But if you have that intention, like it has been there, it's not per se a problem, but it's something which I feel is not natural. That's also a way where you can be aware of your blockage. Does this feel natural? Does this feel effortlessly? No, this is costing me a lot of energy. Then that's a blockage. So it's interesting for your inner work to dive into that. What is happening there? I don't know. Let's see. Let's explore that. Let's give it our attention. Let's sit with that. Let's, focus on that. Let's be with that. And what often happens is that it leaves calmly. And when it leaves, you'll see that sometimes you have to give it a week or 2 weeks, but your life will change. You notice that the pattern is not coming back. I've had, crazy things happen to me in this way where I was always arguing with a colleague of mine, for example, and I started to do this technique. And I wondered where this was coming from, because I noticed that that I felt really blocked. And because I was always sort of really turning inwards when the discussion started. I felt like a victim. And I came back to the bullying that had happened in my childhood. And was even minor bullying, it was not really big time bullying, but even minor bullying, but it felt like a wound, and I just sat with that. And next day, I remember going to my office and I had another discussion with the colleague, not productive of course, but I stood there at his desk and I sort of won the argument, and I hadn't pulled back because I felt that I was right as well. I didn't pull back, or I didn't become offensive or strange, but I just, turned inward. I didn't turn inwards anymore. I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I felt empowered. And I was like, what the is this? What is this craziness? And then I remembered yesterday I sat with the feelings. What? So it can really, really, really change your life. And it has for me many times over. But if you get the hang of this, I want to, as a sort of bonus step, also encourage that you take breaks from this and that you let yourself rest, because it can be very intense for the whole system. You can notice your whole system reacting to this by maybe needing different food. Below, I'll link a grounding meditation. Do that if you feel that you need the grounding, because this also can sort of, give you a little bit of lightness, a sort of light feeling where you feel not so grounded. especially for people doing a lot of meditation practice and things like that. It's important to, keep grounded. So take rest from this, try this, and see that it will change your life, because it will. Trust me. And with that, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up for the algorithm, and that helps me share this message with more people, which I love. And thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you again, my friend. Bye.